Hi guys, welcome back to the Hugh video, and in this video we're going to be taking a beaten up old iPhone 5, restoring, customizing and rebuilding it. Built from the ground up, this custom iPhone 5 is meant to impress. With its stunning red and black design, this iPhone 5 is truly a one-of-a-kind device. Now, I brought this iPhone off of eBay a few months ago for $20 shipped. It was advertised as an iPhone 4S and had no description at all and was listed in the parts only section. This iPhone is iCloud unlocked, a 16GB unit, and was running iOS 10.3.3 before I downgraded it back to iOS 8.4.1 using OTA blobs, which Apple is still signing for the iPhone 5. The battery life was horrendous and in need of replacement, along with the housing, which was severely scratched with deep marks and even cracked glass. For something different, I thought, why not install a custom housing? So I brought this red one for $25 off eBay. It includes nothing but the colored buttons, everything from the dock connector, power button and volume flex cables, to small parts such as the retaining pin for the power button, or the dock and headphone port surrounds were not included with the housing, which makes this an extremely massive job which required complete destruction of the old housing just to retrieve these parts. I also used a donor iPhone 5 housing that was in poor condition to pull parts off. This definitely paid off in the end, and I wouldn't do a repair of such complexity without a donor housing. Now, like I said before, I got this on eBay and has no small parts included with it. Now, the reason for that is I couldn't find one with any of the small parts included. If you opt for a stock color like space gray or gold or something like that, it's very easy to come by one of these with all of these small parts included. But given the fact that this is a custom housing, they're extremely hard to find with those parts already installed, which means you need to transfer those parts from your old housing or a donor housing of such into the new custom housing. Now, when I did this, I thought that I'd have to transfer the dock connector, speaker, volume flex cables, vibrate motor, things like that. But when it actually arrived, I didn't realize that you had to replace things such as the clips themselves that hold in the display, all the way down to the little retaining pin for the power button, which to get out requires you to completely destroy the top part of the housing. Now, there is ways to get it out without causing too much damage, but you need an extremely small pair of needle nose pliers, which I didn't have, and given the fact that these housings were in poor condition, I just opted for the big old plier rip out method, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But you can see here I have to disassemble everything out of the housing, not just the logic board or smaller things like the power button or dock connector. Everything has to be taken out, even down to the finest details. If you look here at the volume and power buttons, you'll see that there's actually a return spring or something like that, as well as those little metal spaces, which you have to remove to transfer to the new custom buttons. To do that, I tried applying pressure with needle nose pliers but was unsuccessful, so went ahead and heated them up with a SMD rework station or something similar like that, like a hairdryer or something, just to loosen up the adhesive, and I was able to take them off and glue them back onto the buttons, which I'll later install in the device. Once those were done, I went to go ahead and install the power button, only to find out that there is no pin to actually get that in. Now, there's a photo of the pin itself, and I actually had to rip that out of the old housing using pliers, trying not to bend the pin itself. And once I did that, I go ahead and pull that pin out, which is absolutely tiny, and go ahead and put it in the new housing. But of course, I managed to drop the pin in the carpet, so I lost it, and I spent the next 20 minutes trying to find it. Unsuccessful. I attempted to open up the old iPhone, which I'm going to be putting into this red housing, and now I'm going to have to scrap this housing as well just to get that power button pin. Now, you can purchase these power button pins on eBay if you just search up power button retaining pin, but I didn't have time to wait around for postage and things like that, and given the fact that this housing is also in really poor condition, I didn't feel too bad completely destroying it to get that pin. So just like any other iPhone 5 disassembly, I have to go ahead and disconnect everything from the device, remove everything that is not needed and could give me access to that power button. Now, it is very important to disconnect the battery first before you go ahead and take off that display. That is one of the most understated things when people repair phones. You can completely fry a phone just because you shorted out that LCD connector. Basically, you can fry the backlight. All kinds of bad things can happen. So just disconnect that battery. It's very easy to do, and you don't want to damage your device. Next up, I went ahead and disassembled the dock connector and speaker assembly all at once. This made it a lot easier just to put it back into that housing after I transferred across the surrounds for the dock and headphone jack. Then I can just go ahead and screw that in, and it's starting to take shape. You may also notice I'm putting it on this microfiber cloth, and that's just to stop the red housing from becoming scratched, as I don't want to go to all this trouble and spend all this time on it only to find out that the housing got scratched along the way. Now that we have the dock connector removed, I can go ahead and move back over to the old phone, go ahead and start to disassemble the logic board out of the device, which I'll be able to transfer into the new red housing. But this will also give me access to the power button, which I'll need to get that pin out and pretty much destroy the housing to get it, which is a shame given the fact that I could have used this as a test housing. But either way, I can still use all the rest of the parts in this housing at a later date. So while I definitely recommend just purchasing one of these pins online, they're only a couple of dollars and they're not too hard to find either. So if you are going to be doing this, I highly recommend doing it that way instead of doing what I'm about to do here with the second housing to get that pin out. So basically I get a pair of needle nose pliers and just sort of pry up near the power button. You'll sort of see, if you're doing this yourself, where the pin is on the device, and I actually had to use some side cutters to cut away around that pin to try and get the pin free from the aluminum, and basically it actually snapped at the top where the antenna line is, so I had to actually do that off camera. But once you get it out, I go ahead and install it into the frame. Now I did that off camera so I didn't lose it or drop it again. I went ahead and installed the power button, which is extremely difficult. I don't know why the power button on the iPhone 5 and 5S and SE is so hard to install and to get functioning properly. Then I can go ahead and install the new buttons and mute switch on the side, which are a lot easier to get in, especially now that the brackets are already on that flex cable. So there's no lining up really to do with those. It just sort of screws in and functions. Make sure if you are doing this to transfer over the grills for the microphone, which I'm screwing in just now, which is on the power button and volume flex. Then I can go ahead and install all the small parts like the vibrate motor, which just sits on that flex cable as well. And then of course, putting in one of the most important parts of the phone, which is the iPhone logic board itself. This is a 16GB iPhone, like I said, and now that it's just sitting in there, it's not screwed in, I'm going to go ahead and test it out with a new battery, make sure the phone is functioning, all the buttons are working. That is extremely important to do that before you screw everything back together. You don't want to screw it all together and then it turns out one of the buttons doesn't work, or Wi-Fi is not functioning, or you're not getting the vibrate motor to work, or something like that. So make sure to test out all those functions before you screw it in. It will save you a lot of time if something isn't functioning correctly. The hardest part of this repair is those small parts, such as that power button pin, which if you just purchased online, you wouldn't have any of the troubles that I did, as well as those little metal spaces in the power and volume button buttons themselves. So you can also purchase those online from websites such as eBay. Just search up power button spaces, and then you shouldn't have any problems with removing those from the old parts like I did. Next up, I can go ahead and install the new battery adhesives to stick down the new battery. The old battery in this was completely toast. It barely lasted at all. Charge it at 100% the next day, it'd be dead flat, even if I was just had the phone in sleep. Next up, I go ahead and install the display onto the device and reinstall the last of the brackets and screws that are needed to put this device back together. Now, one of the first things I noticed with this housing once I started putting it back together was the fact that the lightning and headphone jack surrounds were actually sticking out of the bottom of the device. Now, once I actually got the screws in here as well, the same deal applied. I couldn't screw the screws all the way in. Now, this isn't my fault. It's to do with the fact that this is an aftermarket housing, and obviously the thickness of the aluminum or the dimensions of the aluminum or something along those lines isn't correct to the original Apple one, which means when you put it back together there is a slight noticeable bump where those parts are sticking out and those two pentalobe screws. Next up, I can go ahead and clean the inside of the device with a microfiber cloth and then reinstall the two pentalobe screws into the bottom of the device. Now that the iPhone has been put back together, we can take a look at the end result. You can see there from that short little montage that this thing looks stunning. the overall build quality, the color looks great and feels just like the original housing in the hand. But the pentalobe screws, dock and headphone surrounds stick out slightly from the housing. This is a bit disappointing, but from a distance it isn't noticeable, and otherwise the device looks stunning. The color of the red is a little bit more deeper than my product red iPhone 7, but is more similar to the iPhone 8's product red color. The red paired with the blank screen looks even better than my special edition product red iPhone 7. This was by far the hardest repair I've undertaken. It was not only very time consuming, but given there was no parts installed in the custom housing, it required installing everything from the old housing, essentially building an iPhone from the ground up. The power button pin was almost impossible to remove without damaging the old housing, given its size. If you're wanting to change a housing, even if it's not a custom one, spend the extra money and get one with the small parts already installed. But unfortunately, with these custom housings, it can be very difficult to find one with these parts already installed. This repair is definitely not for the faint-hearted. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out the modded and custom tech playlist for more videos just like this one. Also, make sure you're following my social media, link will be in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.